Swiffer Duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer Duster. Love it or your money back.
I happened to glance up, and the clear sky was gone.
Coast to coast, all night, every night.
All I could see was something round and black.
On WGNS, AM, FM, online. The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show with your hosts, Wayne Blair and Rick Hall. We come to you every week up here at WGNS, and we try to cover things going on around the north end of the county. And I want to talk about MTSU first thing this morning, though, Wayne. How about you, buddy?
Boy, I tell you what, I'm still trying to get past it. Just seems like the script wasn't going the way somebody wanted it to go, and all of a sudden, second half, the officiating just changed. It appeared to me.
Well, I figured there was 3 locker rooms. There was 2 they were yelling at, and that was at the umpires and LSU, and Rick was, cheering on his girls. So there's 2 locker rooms getting yelled at, and one was the refs.
Well, ball coach, I've watched him coach all these years, and he, when he's gotten beat, he takes it like a man. But when he starts off with talking about the differences in the fouls, just right off the get-go, that he is going, this just wasn't right. And just LSU just lack some class too.
A whole lot of it, sure do.
So, but other than that, we've got a nasty rainy morning this morning, and I-24 is not somewhere you want to go up and down presently. But at least nobody knocked the bridge down.
It's I've been across that bridge a couple of times. I've got family up in Delaware, and you have to go to the airport from Delaware and up that way, but we've crossed that bridge many times, so I know the one they're talking about. But it was always been narrow to me from memories I've got. It's a narrow bridge, so I think we were talking before the show with it closing them ports down. That's going to be a mess up there for a while.
Yep, supply chain hiccup again. Looking forward to celebrating the resurrection of our Savior, and
that's right.
Wish the world fixated on our Savior and our King, year round. But, anytime he gets special attention, I believe that's a good thing.
That's right. He needs a whole month.
Or
got
12.
All these other months dedicated to stuff. Why
Amen.
Amen. One of our months.
Yeah, he died for us, so we're blessed. Brother Rick, this morning, it's our pleasure to have 2 great friends and county community leaders, Phil Wilson, District 10, and Carl Boyd, District 12. Did I get those numbers correct?
Right.
So we're pleased to have you gentlemen with us again this morning, and God bless you and thank you for what you do for this county, because Rick and I both sat pretty close where you're sitting, and we know how difficult that job can be, and thank you for what you do. We're blessed to have you.
Thank you.
Hey, I know you've been before, and again, you're county community leaders. Why don't you remind the audience, a little bit about you? You don't have to go into a long bio, but just remind everybody who you are and where you came from.
Well, before going into that, I do want to just have a short rebuttal for Carl and I. My wife went to Ole Miss. Carl is a lifelong Ole Miss fan, so any discussion we continue with poor officiating, praying to the Lord, having heartbreak, and at the last minute everything go wrong, we can do an entire show on that. In fact, really, honestly, with just Commissioner Carl Boyd, and I would just be sharing stories about how my wife Natalie was feeling the same pain. So. Yeah, we're certainly familiar with that. So my name is Phil Wilson. I am the District 10 County Commissioner, and that area is the Sam Ridley Parkway portion of Smyrna, and that goes to Rocky Fork and over towards the Williamson County and the Davidson County lines, which includes the west side of Laverne, the west side of 24. So a lot of our discussions about the tsunami of growth that is really causing us a lot of issues on moving forward and how to and what that looks like. The north end of the county is experiencing at this time really the greatest piece of that growth. And my area in particular, because a lot of family farms have been selling, we're seeing the most new construction, pop up. So I'd turn out on my driveway and I see this every day. And I know some commissioners in the south end aren't seeing it just visually the same way I am. I'm waiting to turn out of my subdivision and there's gravel and dirt removal trucks just constantly going by. So, the conversation in the north end and in District 10 is a lot about schools and infrastructure. And I know that differs in other places of the county, and that's one of the things I know as we talk about today. If you're in the northern part experiencing explosive growth or in the southern part, folks have different things and different concerns to discuss. And that's something I want to talk a little bit about later as I've gotten out and talked to folks. It's very different what people believe we should be doing moving forward. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. Yes, sir, Carl.
Right.
Yes, sir.
My name is Carl Boyd. I'm the District 12 Commissioner. District 12 consists of East Smyrna, east of Lowry Street, starting at Nissan, goes all the way down to Fergus Road in Laverne, and goes to the lake and stops there basically. Comes up Florence Road, behind Nissan. It stops behind Nissan at Enon Springs. So basically the east side of Smyrna. I currently serve on the Health and Education Committee, the Public Works, forgetting what I'm serving on.
Purchasing?
Purchasing. That's, purchasing, and I'm also on the Health and on the Benefits and Insurance Committee for the county.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I'm married to the former Karen O'Neill of Laverne. We've got 3 children, Brittany, Adam, and Connor. Brittany and Connor teach in Rutherford County School System, and Adam is employed with Nissan.
We will say that Commissioner Anthony Johnson was hopeful to be with us, but due to some family issues, taking care of a spouse, I believe, he was unable, but we'll certainly have him back another time.
We want to keep an eye, keep his wife Debbie in our prayers, because she is having back surgery this morning.
Okay. Yep, that's
You're exactly right.
Let's start the conversation with something that is also county citizens are concerned about and talk about, and that's public works. And with the what we affectionately refer to as Mount Trashmore, there's some unknowns still. Is it going to stay open? Is it going to close? I think that I don't know that anybody really understands that process right now.
No, we have had the Republic system on with the county commission. They've really come a long way since we've actually been on the commission. They're telling us they got 4.5 years, give or take a little bit, left at Middle Point. They can go up 80 more feet. They're last year in 2023 they took in 1.1 million tons of trash. In 2024 they're planning on taking in 850,000. So they're my understanding is that they're not taking any more from Davidson County. That's what we had talked about. They've developed they're in the process of developing a natural gas to actually use the gas that the methane gas that the trash produces. Presently, they're just burning that off. When you drive down 231, you see the flame over there. That's what they're doing. But they've contracted with, I believe it was Atmos Energy, and then they've already started. I think it's the fall of 24. They're going to start construction on a natural gas facility over there. It will produce enough gas to heat 8,000 homes. Is what they're telling us. They've also partnered with Walter Hill Elementary School. They built a $125,000 outdoor classroom with Walter Hill. So that, I mean, they're trying their best to be good neighbors. What Rutherford County what we have done. We're currently in the process of constructing a 25,700 square foot transfer station. It's going to be located at 6,000 Landfill Road in the old Rutherford County landfill. The station will have approximately capacity of 1,200 tons per day, or 360,000 tons a year, and it'll be operating 300 days a year. I think we're going to try to have that up and running by January of 2025. We'll still continue to take the residential waste at the 14 convenience centers we have across the county, but the only thing that will be going to the transfer stations will be the commercial vehicles, and the transfer station should pay for itself with the tipping fees that we get from the mom and pops trash collectors.
Has there been any further discussion as far as the reclamation of the old dump site?
I mean, it's been talked about. I know Republic would like to get their hands on it.
We understand why.
Yeah.
But of course, when Rick and I served, that was a concern that the EPA could just push that button, and all of a sudden the county is, hey, you got to do it, and you got to do it now. And whenever you have to do something that quick, the expense can be monumental.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of mixed feelings about what needs to happen and what's going on. If Republic were to stay, and we did give them the opportunity to take over that, I think they've publicly stated that they would take responsibility for anything in that.
I mean, it's an expensive endeavor, no matter what you do, and just
right.
finding somebody to do it. The other question I had was there was a lot of discussion about a robust recycling opportunity at one time. Has that kind of been put on the back burner, possibly?
No. I mean, as far as at the landfill, I know with of course the natural gas reclaiming the natural gas from there.
Sure.
A compost. I think they're going to put in Republic's putting in a compost recycling, which is what I'm understanding is pretty expensive endeavor.
Sure.
But along with, I mean, that's the only thing that I've heard as far as that. I know recycling is really the way we need to go.
Sure.
We're not doing our fair share there. I mean, as a county, and I can even say myself, I don't do what I should, and we need to do a better job of recycling.
There was a company called Pratt that before I left the commission that they were trying to contract with the county to take the cardboard, and I thought that had moved forward, but apparently with the change of commissioners and the leadership, it kind of fell to the wayside.
And the market.
And the market.
From what I'm understanding now, that cardboard is, at one time that was a big deal. Recycling cardboard, baling it up and sending it. I know Ben working at UPS, we saw a lot of cardboard,
Sure.
and we sent a lot off, and it's not that. From what I'm understanding from Bishop Wagner, solid waste director, he's telling me that cardboard's. I mean, we still recycle it, but it's not as great a commodity as it once was.
Sure.
I think you're right on that, the recycling side, but it was always a government subsidized thing. So anytime the government throws all this money to it and then tries to weed their money out of it, then the profits go away.
Right.
So they're not able to do anything. But I noticed that, like, I use the Sulphur Springs dump station over there, and they've cut it down now to 3 bulk items, and they're pretty stringent. And I've watched people come in there with trailers, and they're leaving out with trailers, and they give them the address where to go because they're just not going to take it on anymore.
Right.
And I like that part of it, that they're being more. When you talked about the transfer stations down there, now I know the city of Murfreesboro has their own trash program that they pick up for their people. Will they be able to dump there as well and transfer, or will that have to go to the...
they'll have to use their own transfer station, the way I understand it. The only ones we're going to accept are going to be the ones, the mom and pops.
In this county or other counties as well?
In this county.
Okay. I knew there was
start with. I mean, I'm not. I say this county to start with. I mean, but we'll be transferring it out of this county. We won't be putting it in the landfill.
Murfreesboro had put quite a bit of money into looking at the waste away program. Has that kind of fallen away as well, or we just don't know because it's not part of your purview?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've kind of kept up with it a little bit, but we're not, to my knowledge, looking at anything like that.
Sure.
I mean, personally, I've had issues with something a company that's been in existence for, 30 years, maybe?
Wow, yes, sir.
And what have they done in those 30 years? You got to give me some results.
Sure.
And there hadn't been any, and it's kind of hard to throw all my eggs in that basket.
Weren't they wanting, though, part of that deal, they were wanting that the county property on Florence Road, like it, basically where Broad and Florence Station, that little
they
area.
were going to need a good size facility.
And they were wanting us to be able to provide them with that property because it had a spur for the train tracks to where they were going to be able to.
With the Singer property is what we call it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe the future partnership between the city and the county will be tonnage, and that was really a big part of Murfreesboro's program, considering waste away, was meeting a minimum amount of tonnage in order to produce that product. So, I mean, obviously I would see us continuing these conversations as these come online. And for folks out there listening, and, Commissioner Blair, when I was paying attention to what he was doing on Public Works, the transfer station was the only solution we have where if there were any reason we could not take trash to Mount Trashmore, we did not have a solution.
Sure.
So the transfer station was something that was talked about for a while, and I'm very pleased that we've made this move because once it's constructed, we at least have an alternative regardless of the reasons, to take trash to get it out of our county, because it's got to go somewhere. So that was to me, a necessary move, especially when we're hearing, although varying time frames, about the closure of that landfill. And you certainly can't blame them for taking less trash now that they haven't gotten the expansion, because I'm sure one thing they're doing is trying to prolong. Because, there's a lot of great technology that's going to come out of gasification and things you can do with trash and landfills. So, at this point, we have a transfer station coming on board that's going to give us an option how to get trash out of here. And I know Republic is probably taking less trash to kind of prolong their plans on how they're going to handle that. So that's kind of a really good update of where we are. And I think there'll be a lot more to discuss between the county and Murfreesboro's partnership, how we can work together, because we are in it together.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And I believe we'll have good conversations moving forward of trying to work it out to make sure that the tonnages are there to do, recycling or gasification. I mean, it's exciting to consider that we can take trash and you can create a renewable gas. That's pretty incredible. So the more we move towards that, it'd be something that, should the Lord let us all live long enough, trash can end up being something like we saw in Back to the Future. It can power a car to go back or into the future, because it's just as good as any kind of nuclear power. So it's exciting to see where we go.
I'm not riding with you, dude. I've seen you driving. I'm not doing it.
Hey, man, you know what? I'm just trying to be hopeful.
I get it. Hey, we're going to take our first break. You're listening to County Commissioners Carl Boyd and Phil Wilson, and we'll take our first break. We'll be right back with you in just a second.
Hey guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment at Low T Center. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy, shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team live in Chattanooga 2 days only at the Marriott downtown, Saturday and Sunday, May 4th and 5th. Register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Code 2024.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
You've probably heard it a million times. If you're injured, call a lawyer. And you probably haven't, because you don't know how much it will cost, how long it will take, or even if you have a case. At the law offices of John Day, we provide a free initial consultation because we understand that folks don't want to pay a lawyer only to find out they don't have a case. If you think we can help, we do so on a contingency basis, which means we only get paid if you do. Seriously injured? Call me, John Day.
Put this on your calendar. National Park Day is all day Saturday, April 13th. Volunteers are needed to help at the Stones River National Battlefield, as well as parks in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. They're focusing on cleaning the public lands and the waterways. And the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department, they're coordinating this event locally. Phone 615-890-5333. Again, that's Saturday, April 13th. Would you like to live longer and better? Middle Tennessee State University is having a conference on aging. It's Friday, April 5th at the Miller Education Center. There's a $35 fee that includes parking, meals, and the conference. Again, that's Friday, April the 5th. Don't throw away Old Glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS. And let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
In a world where some saw only an open field, Middle Point Landfill saw an opportunity for dreams to flourish. You see, in 2019, Middle Point made a $125,000 investment into the Oakland High School football field, which was an investment into tomorrow's leadership. The turf that Middle Point helped to lay at Oakland helped pave the way for some students to become standout players at schools like UT and MTSU, and one became a coach at LSU just last year. We're Middle Point Landfill, and we're proud to support the dreams of our youth.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see a few scattered rain showers early this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies, a high into the mid-70s. Then tonight, decreasing clouds, a low near 40. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 57.
Middle Tennessee Electric organizing Rutherford County's 23rd annual Earth Day celebration Saturday, April 20th, 10 to 2 on the Murfreesboro Square. Check out the Kids Zone, hands-on games and activities, free fun for the whole family. More online at rcearthday.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And this morning, it's our pleasure to have Commissioner Phil Wilson and Commissioner Carl Boyd with us. We just got through talking trash.
We actually think we solved the county's problem off camera, so we'll have to bring that back up another time.
Okay. Yes, sir. And Rick and I are just pleased to have you this morning, and we had some robust conversation earlier about trash. I think we were going to talk about growth here in this second segment. Take it away, Phil.
I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, we can talk about the needs that we know about. We can talk about the county's attempt on additional revenue. We can kind of go any of those things. Where do you want to start?
Do you know, I know the City of Laverne was offering up some kind of school overcrowding type meeting that they had scheduled. And we're supposed to release that on YouTube after it all got done, but I've never seen it. So did you go, or what happened with that?
So absolutely. In fact, Commissioner Boyd and Commissioner Johnson, we both were a part of a League of Women Voters forum in Smyrna. And shortly after that, there was a desire to do that in Laverne. I think Commissioner Oliver wanted to do that as well, because it's a great way to have good, robust discussion with folks in that area. It was put on the City of Laverne's YouTube channel, and it was it was there almost immediately. So, and it's there. It was 2 hours long, but it's there for everybody to view. Very, very different feel of meeting, because you've got, once again, the concerns in different places in the county, they're going to be different. Laverne has a different concern than Smyrna, than Murfreesboro, and then the unincorporated parts. Everybody has a different piece of growth going on. The north end is exploding. The city of Laverne, the biggest issue they have is, since they are closest proximity to the metro line, people are leaving metro as fast as possible, because Rutherford County has much lower property taxes. We have better schools. We have better services, and people are fleeing. Well, the closest place to hit first across that county line is going to be Laverne. So they're having a just explosive growth, and that's also coming into that north end of Smyrna as well. And I live not too far from precious Miss Gwen's house, and as y'all know, across the street, the Gwen Farm subdivision, man. More houses just going up constantly. One of the things you're seeing back there, Lee Road in that area, Cooks Lane, all the way back to Rocky Fork, Amoville Road, it is, and I'm trying to use politically correct terms, it's explosive, frightening growth. It's awesome to see the growth, but the growth of the homes and the folks coming is much faster than the speed of government to catch up with the expansion of services. I'm not even talking about funding. I'm just saying, just to keep up with what's needed. There are so many people moving in literally daily.
Well, I saw a thing just last week on the news in Nashville. There's 24 people moving to Rutherford County a day. So,
and for good reason. Just to throw a few things out here, I know you know this, but I think I think listeners need to continue to hear some of these basics. In fact, I want to get back to the League of Women Voters in a moment, because that's a chance for us to actually get, real truthful numbers and information directly to folks of what's going on. But in fact, I'm going to go to that now because I got too far off of what you asked. So I'm going to go back to it.
I think it opened ears is when you saw the rezonings.
Absolutely.
Because there's no schools left down there. There's no property left to put a school. So all the residents of Laverne are now going to have to be bused. And I know there's limitations of how far you can bus a child.
And thank you, Rick. That's really where I'm going on the frightening, scary portion. It's the speed of government, or lack of, not being able to keep up. And so the North, and in particular, Stewart's Creek Elementary School, that got capped off, as of fall break. A lot of people, by the way, don't know that if you don't live in the North End. It's just a different life if you live beyond Blackman. But Stewart's Creek Elementary's, their enrollment was capped. If you move into the Stewart's Creek Elementary area, you're going to Stewartsboro for right now. And that was going to stay that way until, and it wasn't even funded until just this past meeting, until an elementary school on the Beatty property was at least funded and scheduled to be built. So that's what's going to end up relieving that. But I'm going to tell you guys, in my opinion, that school, the day it opens, is going to be at capacity.
Right.
Well,
I
mean,
had
Commissioner Pettis Reed was on in Rockville community. They built the schools, they're at capacity, and now you look to the other side of the property line, and they've cleared off this whole, and they got 600 homes coming in, so there's nowhere for them to go. So I think we are seeing an explosion, but it's happening, unfortunately, everywhere now. And I don't know, the bus contracts are coming up, and all of our buses that we bus our kids they're privately owned buses, so we pay per mile for those buses, and the contracts are coming up with inflation and the cost of fuel and everything else. The renegotiations are coming, blast them up, and you've got kids you're going to take from the Davidson County line and bus them all the way into Smyrna to like John Coleman in District 12 and places like that. The miles that they're going to carry in them bus contracts are going to be enormous.
And that's certainly, thank you for bringing that up, because one thing folks forget about that aren't considering that is the transportation that the county provides to the kids. When you have to move and rezone these schools, we have to provide that transportation. And Rutherford County, a lot of people don't know this. I believe we are only obligated to provide transportation. I believe it's if you live 1 mile or further. And Rutherford County goes ahead and we pick up the additional cost as a community to still offer busing, even if you're within that mile.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of folks that live right by a school and their kids will ride the bus, but otherwise it's not something that is, it's not mandated that you have to do that. So that's just a great perk, and Rutherford County showing how we care about our kids, to provide that. But you're right, the expense of buses, and I think that's one of the things we were talking about when we were off here a second ago. No one 5 years ago could have seen the explosion of inflation and what the costs are on everything that we're doing. It's almost impossible to keep up with, because the inflation rates did not keep up truly with property tax rates. And I want to segue a little bit, going back to that League of Women Voters meeting. So between that meeting and also I spoke to the Sentinel group this past week, I have really gotten out and listened to a wide variety of opinions moving forward, what folks want. And we have, in our own county, we have one saying we need to continue expanding public education, because public education has become, and Carl and I both were on the Health and Education Committee, health and education have become intertwined in a way that I don't think we ever saw coming. And I don't think that that's going to back off. Not this Tuesday. Well, today's Tuesday. We have a health and ed meeting tonight. It isn't tonight, but it's next month. But we're going to have from Rutherford County Schools a representative from the Atlas program. And I think listeners need to hear that by the end of this year, we're going to have 50% of our students on free and reduced lunch. Now, in a school system of over 51,000, that is an astonishing number. And that number is growing. We began this year somewhere in the low 40s. So it's going to grow that much. So it also shows you what I was continuing to say before. When you are the lowest taxed county in Middle Tennessee, when you have lower property taxes than Williamson County and Wilson County and Sumner County and Cumberland Metro, and when you have lower prices on land development, you have everyone flocking to our county. Developers are moving here, literally moving in the area to stay because they're going to continue buying family farms and they're going to build homes and subdivisions because the growth is scheduled to continue coming for many years. So they're not just coming and leaving, they're coming and actually opening up shop, and I guess when it's all built up, they leave.
Sure.
And let me say this as well, we're a place of refuge. We're a place to come to get away from the other high taxation places and the failing schools. So we've actually done such a great job at getting a huge value for the dollar. Our public schools in Rutherford County, what they have gotten out of what the funding is nothing short of remarkable. And I know you know that from your many years serving on the school board. What we have gotten is why people are coming. We have been discovered. And now we're going to have a real problem keeping up with the services because, quite frankly, everybody, the cost tripled on us. But your property taxes and my property taxes did not triple. So when you start looking at this, the first thing is to say is we're going to have an issue funding at some point because revenue collections are just far below what the costs are. It is substantial to think that Rockville, and you bring up Pettis Reed, Rockville was opened in 2017 around $70 million. The same blueprint, the last time we were given an update, is 190. 190. It was just 150 even the previous year. That's what's happened over that year. So you can't go from $70 million to 190 on the same blueprint. That is well more than double, close to tripling the cost, but the revenue to pay for building the building's not. And that's one of our things I want to make sure I'm really keeping separated.
Well, let me ask you a question.
There's a difference in operating, and there's a difference in our problem with building the buildings. It's the cost of the brick and mortar that is really our big issue.
Okay, so with that in turn, we've got one on Rocky Fork Road that's going to come in. They're going to have 800 students. They're building a building for $13 million. They are taking the Walden Books building in Laverne. It's currently vacant, and they're putting a charter school in there as well. So how is a charter school don't have to abide by the same codes as what we're building these county schools at, or are we just overbuilding these county schools to the point of if you can take 800 students for $13 million and build a building to get through these lean times and then go back to maybe something later when inflation goes down. But I think it's something I've thought about.
But I don't think the charter schools think long term because they have an average lifespan, and we're in it for the long haul, where we have buildings that are 50 and 60 years old that are still viable and that are being used. I don't think the charter school mentality is 50 and 60 years down the road.
Right. I know along those lines, I was in a purchasing meeting the other day, and I can't even remember who was in there talking, but they brought up the fact they'd done some work on a school in Bedford County, and they built an elementary school in Bedford County for $39 million. And I was sitting next to Jeff Phillips, and we both went,
what?
Whoa. $39 million? But they don't build schools like we do.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the schools in Rutherford County, I mean, the old Smyrna High School, Smyrna Middle, you can walk down that school right now, and a lot of that's due to Mr. Mack and Coach Rakes and the people that took care of that school over the years. But that school's still in great shape.
Sure.
And it's going to be there for another 50 years. And I think that's the way we need to build schools in Rutherford County. I don't think we need to take the cheap route. And you could build a metal building for nothing, but it wouldn't be there 10 years down the road.
I would like to chime in because, of course, Commissioner Blair here was in on charter school committees to look at their charter application. He knows quite a bit about this. I did want to say both of these guys, this is what I have heard prevailing, because one of the things I heard from some of the groups I talked to is is the quote, we need to build less expensive schools. And I'm being very nice the way I'm phrasing that. And part of the issue is this: after having discussion and having this question a lot, Riverdale and Oakland, I mean, they're great examples of schools that are well over 50 years, and they're both getting annexes. They're going to continue in service. So there is a prevailing economic thought of, if you go cheap now, and the lifespan of that building without major maintenance is 15 to 20 years, well, then we're going to be right there before you know it. Having to do something about it. And what happens if that school repair, whatever it needs, actually were to disrupt school? So what I've heard is the argument is building a school that's going to last. Because obviously, my goodness, if we've gone up $120 million in 5 years, you know, what's it going to be in 5 more? And I'm not saying, and it's not even sustainable that it could do that again, right? At that point, we have such a problem that you got to rethink how we do everything, because you can't go into $300 million for a high school with the way the economy is and survive that. So that's just almost cartoonish to think about. But I've heard, Rick, that's the main thing, is building them to last, to where they will stand up, so it's built and it's done, and we move forward, not thinking in 15 to 20 years that a metal building or something of less quality would need major maintenance and repair. I want to point this out. We already have, I know Commissioner Blair knows this, we're well over $250 million, I'm going to say, in the hole on deferred maintenance for our current schools, meaning AC units having to be scheduled to be replaced and just normal maintenance. So we're already at a huge amount of money taking care of only a little bit of that a year. You know, we have right now a dime of property tax money going in there for them, and that's the Fund 177 you hear about to take care of maintenance projects. So we have that, and they have to just kind of systematically say, all right, let's just keep doing these this year and this next year, and you hope for, you know, you don't have a real big breakdown. These HVAC systems, the cost is substantial. It is stunning. Just how much money it takes just to replace something like that. And we're thinking about schools and building and buses, but the HVAC system and the lights and all these other compounding costs are just becoming stifling.
Yep. Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, but Brian's staring me down over here. We're going to have to take our second break and pay some bills here.
We're on a roll.
We'll be right back with you in just a second for our third segment.
Finding that missing shin guard, remembering whether it's a home or away game, getting the right kid to the right playing field on the right day. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. We work with independent agents who keep insurance simple, so you can worry about more important things, like not being that fan.
Oh, come on, Ref.
That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
This is Pastor Nikki Ajapong, lead pastor of Holy Hill Chapel.
Here are sermons on WGNS Sunday night at 7:30.
Our sermons are loaded with the keys of the kingdom. If you don't have the keys, you'll be stranded.
Visit Holy Hill Chapel, TN.org to hear our podcast.
The Garden Patch Thrift Shop on Spring Street in downtown Murfreesboro.
We are very blessed to have volunteers, to have friends that are decorators that come in and merchandise our store and do our window displays that help with linens, that help with jewelry, that help just make the store look really nice.
Proceeds from sales benefit Greenhouse Ministries, a faith-based nonprofit serving the underserved here in Murfreesboro. The Garden Patch Thrift Shop on Spring Street, across from the tall NHC building.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning, and welcome back to the third segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And our guests this morning are County Commissioners Phil Wilson and Carl Boyd. And we've had some really robust, I love that word, robust conversations about trash and growth. And we've been talking a little bit about funding schools.
You know, I'd like for everybody to chime in. Let's start talking about just funding, because I think that's probably one of the bigger headlines, because, schools is just one thing, right? It's the biggest, most expensive because of the need and it being the infrastructure of the building, the capital project. But we're probably not far away with this kind of population growth. What's a new jail going to cost?
Sure.
You can't be too far in the future. Rick, you should be an expert to talk about this. Our jail, if it's getting close to filled at different times now with this population growth, I can't imagine if a school has gone up almost 3 times. I can't imagine what a modern jail is going to cost, where you have to actually put money into the building to keep it secure.
Two things to think about on the jail. So we went through this when I was on the commission in the mid-2000s. So if you're sentenced to 11 months, 29 days, as you're a state prisoner, that prisoner never leaves county jail. And the state pays you a per diem per day for keeping that person. We fought the state during that time because it was costing us more per day to keep and house that prisoner than it was the state was paying us. So we were running a deficit. And we got a little bit of help on it. It's kind of like the funding for schools, and we had a BET funding. They've changed the code for it now, but we were fighting 2 fronts with the state because they weren't paying their share. And so that's one thing to think about on the jail side of it. And 2, you're going to have to look at more of curtailing the laws with the workhouse. So you need to look at what's the capacity of the workhouse. What can they take on more of or less of? And I think they could take on more, but again, state law prohibits you from what offenses you're allowed to send somebody over to the workhouse for and be housed over there to where let's say it's the minimum security type situation. But our arrests are down. Since pre-COVID, everything going on, our arrests are down. They're down almost about 2,000 arrests per year. So the number of arrests are down. So the housing of prisoners, if you look, and I haven't, I think we need to look and see if are they county residents that are on county charges, or are they state prisoners being held by the state, for the state, so the state doesn't have to go and build another prison. So I think you got to look at that at 2 avenues, and I don't know what those answers are, but if I was on one of those committees, those would be the questions I would be asking.
As far as I know, from what I hear, Carl, I mean, the Sheriff's Department is looking into basically a feasibility study of the land they have. They're working on this now.
And they've grown. I mean, the manpower, what they had in 2007 versus what the Sheriff's Office does now, because of growth, we've hired more deputies, more SROs, which takes more supervisors. So the whole gamut has grown to what we had. And I know back then we looked at along Sulphur Springs and 840, there's over 100-acre tract out there that we tried to buy. We could have got it for like $1 million in 2009, and they were afraid we were going to put the courthouse out there, so we got a big buck about we were not going to allow the courthouse to be built on the square, so we didn't get that $1 million piece of property out there, which I don't know what it's worth now, but we would have got it for a song back then.
You know, Rick is there's a lot of things that he was saying in there, and I want to hit on one of them that's kind of indirect, but you mentioned this. When I've been talking to these various groups, and I've been doing it on purpose because I want to hear very different opinions and hear what people have to say so I can learn. That is difficult, by the way, but I do want to hear what people have to say. The biggest thing I have been surprised by, and it's something I think we can all work to help, is folks have a they don't have a full correct understanding of the way funding works and the way local and state, how they function. So I just want to spend a couple minutes. I think this is important because it goes into what's going on with trying to find additional revenues. Your county commissions in the state of Tennessee, we're an arm of the state government. The state of Tennessee, the state government is in control of everything. And we are only allowed to do literally what they allow us to do by passing it through the General Assembly. So a lot of folks look at us for answers or solutions, and when our answer is we have to get that done at the state. You know, a bill has to be carried and passed through the General Assembly for us to make a change here. I think folks think we have a lot more local control, and I don't want to diminish what we have, but there's a couple things here. Funding just on operational things. Education, the Sheriff's Department, and the Road Board, the Highway Department. This is maintenance of effort funding. We do not have the right to change that funding. They are going to get exactly the same amount minimum that they got last year. That's a state law. So when people come in and say we're going to go in, on a commission basis, we're going to go in and we're going to look at that education budget, I said you need to run for the school board because the county commission has no line item veto. We have a yes or no on their funding request, and we are required to give them what they got last year, period. There is no contest or discussion on that. So when you add up education, the Sheriff's Department, and the Highway Department, that's a significant percentage of our total budget. So we don't have a lot of control on slashing a budget when maintenance of effort is on. In fact, the only way maintenance of effort will ever go in reversal is if we have a decline in population. We can say, hey, we've had this decline, and the state again has to allow us to lower that. So the state is really in charge of everything that we do. Now, we can do what you've been watching the past year, and we can make requests. We can have resolutions. That's the most formal thing we can do, but all we're doing at that point is sending a more official, this is what we are asking you to do, and that's the end of that. We don't have any control on where it goes. That? Absolutely.
So if you Google Tennessee state legislators and look on there and look at who your legislator is, and you may know in your district who they are, and then you can see the bills that they've proposed and what they've co-signed and see what they do for you in your district. And right now our state legislators are not got anything proposing bills that helps. Charlie Baum had the one for
adequate facilities.
Is that what they call that one?
Actually, the one Charlie's was actually an impact fee to have the same.
Exactly. I knew I was wrong.
The one they're working on now is that one.
I'm sorry.
But they negotiated and said, oh, no, we're going to give you adequate facilities tax because we want to push more growth, so you had to keep it over 19%. And if you curtailed your growth under 19%, you didn't get a dime. So it was a home builders association that made it and gave a contractor out of Kingsport and Gray, Tennessee, to promote this bill that has zero growth in a county with 64,000 people.
Right.
And that's your sponsor of the bill. But if your legislators if they don't got a stack of 10 bills, because they can put 25 in, if they ain't got 10 of them that's going to directly relate you, then we need to look something else. And that's where I think our city leaders, our county commissioners, and people like that need to start running for legislative positions to get things done. It's great that you're a good person and there's some good people on our state legislators, but if they're not pushing because they're pushing to get their money, when you get 20 grand from two associations for not supporting a bill that's going to help your own county, then it's time for you to maybe find something else to do.
That's a fact.
And on a local level, and this is why this is a very important discussion that we need to continue having anytime we're talking with anyone in the public, for them to understand what we can and can't do, so folks can be more efficient. When they have requests and things, a lot of things I say is we need to make sure you're putting your limited time. You've got a family and you have a life. You need to be sure you're putting your time towards the right people and in the right way to actually be heard. The only control that we have as a county commission, the only authority we have on raising revenue, and it is the worst one ever, it is property tax. We can raise the wheel tax. We can look at fees. And that's our only means of locally being able to actually raise revenue. So without additional sources of however they come through various very creative means, we don't have a way to take care of. We have an $850 million 5-year plan on schools. Based on our discussions today, I don't think you could make it 5 years and it would stay $850 million.
Right.
Let's call it $1 billion. Yep. That is a unsustainable number, and think about what that means with debt. We walked into just 2 years ago about $400 million or a little bit less than of county debt. Now we're over 600, but let me make sure I'm clear on that. What we got for that, and Rick, you've already brought up how expensive things are. We got 3 high school additions, and we got our transfer station. That's where we're at. That seems like a very small amount of things, and 3 additions and that, but that's where the costs are. And now we're looking at we just funded the elementary school that's on the Beatty property, and the Board of Education gave $30 million of what they had in their general purpose school fund towards it. So, they are out of any monies to contribute. That was the last thing, and they did that actually to save Rutherford County taxpayers because that money was shared. So it was the smartest way to spend the money to get this done. But guys, we don't have any more revenue. We have a balanced budget, so you don't have additional revenue to take on these additional bond issues. And here's your big one. If the penny isn't growing, then there is no additional dollars. And we're looking at that right now because you're in the budget season.
That's right. Yep. Well, hey, I'm sorry we ran out of time. This need to be a longer show. We got to talk to Brian about this when this happens. But
God bless you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you.
Effort.
You're fighting a good fight, and I sure do appreciate what you guys do for us. But hey, I want to bring up. I know we had some shout outs, but I know we're short on time. I just want to bring up 2 SROs at Laverne High School.
Amen.
SRO Diger and Gregory. There was absolutely a homeless student living in his vehicle, and his vehicle broke down, and those guys paid out of their pocket and got it fixed. And
God bless
it's a shame
them.
we've got that situation, but I think, like you said, the Atlas program with Jessica Johnson over there is just it's God's work, man.
2,000 kids.
Isn't that crazy?
In the Atlas program in Rutherford County. That's unbelievable.
And growing.
2,000 kids.
Everybody, I hope y'all have a great day, and hopefully this weather will move out here pretty soon.
Happy Easter.
Calm things, and happy Easter this weekend. But we'll talk to you again next week. Have a good day.